XCEL 2023 Texas Life and Health Final Exam 2. Which unfair trade practice involves an agent telling a prospective client that a policy's dividends are guaranteed? Misrepresentation. An agent who tells a client that dividends are guaranteed may be guilty of misrepresentation. In health insurance policies, a waiver of premium provision keeps the coverage in force without premium payments. After an insured has become totally disabled as defined in the policy, to terminate an agent's appointment, an insurance company must send termination notice to the Texas Department of Insurance. An insurance agent has a fiduciary responsibility to all of the following except other agents. What is being delivered during a policy delivery? Insurance contract. To the proposed insured policy delivery refers to the delivery of the insurance contract to the applicant, who is liable when an insured suffers a loss on a policy sold by an agent through an insurer not authorized to conduct business in Texas. The agent. If an agent places insurance with an insurer that is not authorized by a certificate of authority, local to their state, the agent may be held personally liable for any claims amounts that the unauthorized insurer does not pay. Q applied for life insurance and submitted the initial premium on January 1. The policy was issued February 1, but it was not delivered by the agent until February 7. Q is dissatisfied and returns the policy February 13. How will the insurer handle this situation? Policy was returned within the free look period. Premium will be fully refunded. The free look period begins when the policy is delivered to the policy owner. In Texas, life insurance policies must provide a minimum free look period of 10 days upon policy delivery. A delivery receipt is a signed document that starts the free look period. P is blinded in an industrial accident. Which provision of his life insurance policy will pay a stated benefit amount? Accidental death and dismemberment clause. An add-and-D clause provides benefits for death due to an accident or for the loss of one or more hands, feet, arms, legs, or loss of sight. Under a long-term care policy, which benefit would be typically excluded or limited? Alcohol rehabilitation. Addictive behavior rehabilitation is normally excluded or limited under a long-term care policy. Quarterly premium payments increase the annual cost of insurance because interest to the insurer is decreased while the administrative costs are increased. Automatically add the amount of interest due to the loan balance. Q is severely injured in an automobile accident and becomes totally disabled. How many months must Q be disabled before being able to apply for Social Security disability benefits? J would like to maintain the right to change beneficiaries. Which beneficiary designation should be used? A long-term care rider in a life insurance policy pays a daily benefit in the event of which of the following? An insurer is not required to provide information on fraudulent claims if requested by an insured on the written request of an authorized government entity, such as the Commissioner, Attorney General, or a local law enforcement agency. An insurer will provide to that entity any relevant information or material relating to a fraudulent matter under investigation. Every 12 months after the initial enrollment period, an HMO must hold an open enrollment period of 31 days. What is required for an agent whose license was revoked? Wait at least 5 years before applying for a new license. Which of these options can an individual use their medical flexible spending account to pay for? Prescription drugs. Prescription drugs are an allowable expense when paid for by a medical flexible spending account. Q is hospitalized for 3 days and receives a bill for $10,100. Q has a major medical policy with a $100 deductible and 80/20ths coinsurance. How much will Q be responsible for paying on this claim? $2,100. Subtract the deductible from the total bill and multiply that number by the coinsurance the insured has, in this case 20%, so $10,100 to $100, then $10,000 x 0.20 equals $2,000, and then add the deductible back to the final total, $2,100. T is covered by an accidental death and dismemberment, add-and-D, policy that has an irrevocable beneficiary. What action will the insurance company take if T requests a change of beneficiary? Request of the change will be refused. A whole life insurance policy owner does not wish to continue making premium payments. Which of the following enables the policy owner to sell the policy for more than its cash value? Life settlement contract. An agent gives a conditional receipt to a client for an insurance policy after collecting the initial premium. When will the policy become effective? When the conditions of the receipt are met. A reimbursement policy pays what amount of covered long-term care expenses? Actual covered expenses up to the daily maximum. Traditional reimbursement long-term care insurance policies pay benefits based upon the actual expenses that are incurred, subject to policy limits. N ___ term life policy is normally used when covering an insured's mortgage balance. Decreasing a decreasing term life policy is normally used when covering an insured's mortgage balance. C. Group credit life. Which of the following benefits is not required under a group health plan for drug and alcohol treatment? Transportation to and from a treatment facility. How long can a cash surrender value payment be deferred by the insurance company under the non-forfeiture law? 6 months. All of these statements about the Commissioner of Insurance are true except the Commissioner must be elected. The Governor appoints the Commissioner to a 2-year term. What is the purpose of the time of payment of claims provision? Prevents delayed claim payments made by the insurer. The time of payment of claims is a provision that requires claims be paid immediately, or within a stated number of days. Which of the following would be a likely candidate for disability income insurance on a key employee? Company executive. Disability income insurance on a key employee would likely insure a company executive. Upon policy delivery, a signed good health statement is requested from the applicant. Why would this be necessary? The initial premium was not submitted with the application on delivery of a policy. A signed statement of good health is typically requested if the application was submitted without the initial premium. A temporary agent's license issued by the Commissioner of Insurance is valid for up to ____ days. 90. The Commissioner may issue a temporary insurance agent license for 90 days to an applicant for license who is being considered for appointment as an agent. Which of the following is not included in the policy phase? Exclusions. What is the minimum benefit period that must be offered by a long-term care policy? 12 months. All of the following statements regarding a tax-sheltered annuity, TSA, are true except income derived from the TSA is received income tax-free. Entire contract provision. If the insured and primary beneficiary are both killed in the same accident and it cannot be determined who died first, where are the death proceeds to be directed under the Uniform Simultaneous Death Act? Inability of the insured to perform more than 2 activities of daily living, ADLs. What action will an insurer take if an interest payment on a policy loan is not made on time? An example of an unfair claims settlement practice is turning down a claim without providing the basis of denial. Denying an insured's claim without indicating the basis of denial under the policy is considered an unfair claims settlement practice. J has an accidental death and dismemberment policy with a principal sum of $50,000. While trimming the hedges, J cuts off one of his fingers. What is the maximum J will receive from his policy? $25,000 capital sum is another form of payment payable under an add-on-D policy and is the amount payable for the accidental loss of sight or accidental dismemberment, or the capital sum. It is a specified amount, usually expressed as a percentage of the principal sum, which varies according to the severity of the injury. For example, the benefit for the loss of 1 foot or 1 hand is typically 50% of the principal sum. The most extreme losses, such as both feet or sight in both eyes, generally qualify for payment of the full benefit, which is the principal sum, 100%. Who is normally considered to be the owner of a 403(b) tax-sheltered annuity? The employee. The participating employee normally applies for and owns a 403(b) tax-sheltered annuity. An applicant's medical information received from the Medical Information Bureau, MIB, may be furnished to the wording on this question is BS. They're asking to whom can this information be released to. Be mindful of this. Applicant's physician information received from the Medical Information Bureau about a proposed insured may be released to the proposed insured's physician. Agent J takes an application and initial premium from an applicant and sends the application and premium check to the insurance company. The insurance company returns the check back to J because the check is made out to J instead of the insurance company. What action should J take? Return to the customer, collect a new check made out to the insurance company, and send the new check out to the insurance company. What kind of insurance policy supplies an income stream over a set period of time that starts when the insured dies? Family maintenance policy. A policy that provides an income for a specific period starting at the death of the insured is a family maintenance policy. Which of the following actions will an insurance company most likely not take if an applicant, who has diabetes, applies for a disability income policy? Issue the policy with an altered time of payment of claims provision. The insurance company may take all of these actions except issue the policy with an altered time of payment of claims provision. Which of these provisions is not required in life insurance policies? Extended term. The premiums paid by an employer for his employees' group life insurance are usually considered to be tax deductible to the employer. Which of the following consists of an offer, acceptance, and consideration? Contract. Offer, acceptance, and consideration are all elements of a contract. What is required for an agent whose license has been revoked? Wait at least 5 years before applying for a new license. An individual whose license has been denied or revoked cannot apply again for an agent's license for at least 5 years. Which of the following is not included in a life insurance illustration? Company's mortality table. An illustration used in the sale of a life insurance policy must be clearly labeled life insurance illustration and contain the following basic information: name of insurer, name and business address of the producer, name, age, and sex of the proposed insured, the underwriting or rating classification upon which the illustration is based, the generic name of the policy, the product name and the applicable form number, initial death benefit, and dividend option, election or application of non-guaranteed elements, if applicable, proof of loss. When an insurance company sends a policy to the insured with an attached application, the element that makes the application part of the contract between the insured and the insurer is called the. What is Medicare? A hospital and medical expense insurance program. Medicare is a federal health insurance program comprising 4 available parts. This government-sponsored program provides health care and other medical benefits for those age 65 and older and those eligible who are disabled. B is a teacher who was injured in a car accident and cannot work. She is now receiving monthly benefits as a result of this accident. Which type of policy does B have? Disability income. Claim will be denied. Which of these statements is incorrect regarding the federal income tax treatment of life insurance? Health maintenance organizations, HMOs. A license may be denied, suspended, or revoked if the license. Anytime. Which type of provider is known for stressing preventative medical care and routine physical examinations? D is an architect receiving disability income benefits who is not able to return to work full-time, but can work on a part-time basis. Which of these features would allow D to continue receiving benefits? Residual benefit clause. A residual amount benefit is based on the proportion of income actually lost due to the partial disability, taking into account the fact that the insured is able to work and earn some income. P has recently signed an application for insurance. The insurer must advise her in writing that an investigative consumer report may be conducted according to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act requires that an insurance application state that an investigative consumer report may be obtained on an applicant. Entire cash surrender value is taxable. P is a producer who notices 5 questions on a life application were not answered. What action should P take? A new general property and casualty licensee must complete at least hours of continuing education within 24 months of initial licensure. 24. An individual who holds a general life, accident and health license, a life and health insurance counselor license, or a general property and casualty license must complete 24 hours of continuing education every 2 years. In Texas, which of these statements regarding the suicide clause is true? An insurer may not use suicide as a defense against payment after the 2nd year, also see incontestability period. An evidence of coverage form may be issued by a health maintenance organization, HMO, after being approved by the Commissioner. A health maintenance organization, HMO, may issue an evidence of coverage form after it has been approved by the Commissioner of Insurance. Under an individual health insurance policy, the time limit of certain defenses provision states that non-fraudulent misstatements first become incontestable 2 years from the date that the policy was issued. What is old age and survivors health insurance, OSD, also known as Social Security? The individual most likely to buy a Medicare supplement policy would be a N 68-year-old male covered by Medicare. A life insurance application may be rejected on the basis of all of these factors except gender. An insurance company may not reject a prospective insured's life application on the basis of gender. What does a 401k plan generally provide its participants? Salary deferred contributions. Is found guilty of misrepresentation in obtaining the license. N is covered by a term life policy and does not make the required premium payment, which was due August 1st. N dies September 15th. What action will the insurer take? A temporary agent's license issued by the Commissioner of Insurance is valid for up to ______ days. 90. C was injured while deep-sea diving and requires a hospital stay. C has a major medical policy with a 80/20 co-insurance clause and a $400 deductible. What is the maximum C will pay if the covered medical expenses are $2,000? $720. In Texas, how long must a policy be in force before an insurance company must pay death benefits for suicide? 2 years. Which statement about a whole life policy is true? Cash value may be borrowed against. Which of the following features of a group term life policy enables an individual to leave the group and continue his or her insurance without providing evidence of insurability? Conversion privilege. A plan through the marketplace may be purchased by any legal resident, except those imprisoned. Any legal resident, except those incarcerated, can purchase a plan through the marketplace. To be eligible to enroll in health coverage through the marketplace, individuals must live in the United States, must be a United States citizen, national, or non-citizen who is lawfully present in the U.S., must not be currently incarcerated, must not have coverage through Medicare. A N_____ rider may be used to include coverage for children under their parents' life insurance policy. Term A term rider may be used to include coverage for children under their parents' life insurance policy. 5. When can a policy owner change a revocable beneficiary? Which of the following actions may not be taken by an insurance company to insure a substandard applicant for disability income coverage? Lengthen the contestability period. What is the primary factor that determines the benefits paid under a disability income policy? Wages. A Medicare supplement policy may be cancelled for which of the following reasons? The premium has not been paid by the insured. If an individual is covered under an accidental death policy and dies, an autopsy can be performed in all these situations, except when the state prohibits this by law. Applicable state laws that prevent an autopsy take precedence. An insurance company receives E's application for an individual health policy. E did not complete all of the medical history questions because she could not remember the exact dates. E signed the policy and submitted it to the insurance company anyway. A few weeks later, E suffers a heart attack and is hospitalized without completing the medical history questions and paying the initial premium. E is not insured. Which of the following clauses details the conditions that E did not meet? Consideration clause. The consideration clause states a policy owner must pay a premium in exchange for the insurer's promise to pay benefits. A policy owner's consideration consists of completing the application and paying the initial premium. The amount and frequency of premium payments are contained in the consideration clause. Please consider me for insurance. Here is my completed application, initial premium, and how much, how often I agree to pay. Please consider me. Which of these actions should a producer take when submitting an insurance application to an insurer? Inform insurer of relevant information not included in the application. The application is one of the most important sources of underwriting information, and it is the agent's responsibility to see that it is completed fully and accurately. An insurance company will return the application to the agent if the agent submits an incomplete application. Then, the agent should schedule another appointment with the applicant to complete the unanswered questions. Statements made in the application are used by insurers to evaluate risks and decide whether or not to insure the applicant. Therefore, one of the actions a producer should take when submitting an application is to advise the insurer of any other relevant information not contained in the application. An applicant's statements are considered representations. Which of the following statements is correct regarding the tax treatment of a lump sum payment paid to a life insurance policy's primary beneficiary? All proceeds are income tax-free in the year they are received. If a life insurance policy has a stated beneficiary, all the proceeds are income tax-free in the year they are received. This is different from annuities, confusing AF. When an insurance application is taken by a producer, which of these statements is true? Any changes made on the application require the applicant's initials. The producer should have the applicant initial any changes made on the application. What is the purpose of a policy summary? It highlights the critical parts of the policy issued. Which of the following does Social Security not provide benefits for? Dismemberment. Set up a meeting with the applicant to answer the remaining questions. What must the policy owner provide to the insurer for validation that a loss has occurred? J. An accidental death and dismemberment. Add policy holder dies after injuries sustained in an accident. J's age, as stated on the application 5 years ago, was found to be understated by 10 years. Which of the following actions will the insurance company take? The insurer will adjust the benefit to what the premiums paid would have purchased at the insured's actual age. In this situation, the insurance company will adjust the death benefit to what the premiums paid would have purchased at the insured's actual age. B has a $100,000 accidental death and dismemberment policy that pays triple indemnity for common carrier death. If B is killed from an accident on a commercial flight, what will the policy pay B's beneficiary? $300,000. T applied for a disability income policy and has a history of back injuries. The insurer issued the policy with a statement that excludes coverage for back injuries. This statement is called an impairment rider. A statement on a policy that excludes coverage for specific injuries or conditions is called an impairment rider. Disability policies do not normally pay for disabilities arising from which of the following? War disability policies do not normally pay for disabilities arising from an act of war. Post-tax dollar contributions are found in Roth IRA investments. No income tax deductions can be taken for contributions made to a Roth, but the earnings on those contributions are entirely tax-free when they are withdrawn. How long does the coverage normally remain on a limited pay life policy? 100. Even though the premium payments are limited to a certain period, the insurance protection extends until the insured's death, or to age 100. Which of the following are equity-indexed annuities typically invested in? S&P 500. An indexed annuity is a type of tax-deferred annuity whose credited interest is linked to an equity index, typically the S&P 500. P is a major medical policy owner who is hospitalized as a result of injuries sustained from participating in a carjacking. How will the insurer most likely handle this claim? Claim will be denied. Under a guaranteed renewable health insurance policy, the insurer may cancel the policy for non-payment only. Annuity pays benefits based on units rather than stated dollar amounts. Variable annuity pays benefits based on units rather than specific dollar amounts. Which action will a life insurance company most likely take if an insured dies and it is discovered that the insured's age was misstated on the application? Pay an amount the premiums would have purchased at the insured's age. Upon policy delivery, a signed good health statement is requested from the applicant. Why would this be necessary? The initial premium was not submitted with the application. Enter missing question starting from here. Enter missing question starting from here. Which of the following is a requirement for obtaining a Texas insurance agent's license? Be honest, trustworthy, and reliable. P is a new employee and will be obtaining non-contributory group major medical insurance from her employer. Which of the following actions must she take during the open enrollment period? Sign an enrollment card. Which of the following correctly explains the actions an agent should take if a customer wants to apply for an insurance company? Complete the application and review the information with the customer prior to obtaining the customer's signature, then send the application off to the insurance company. If a customer wants to apply for an insurance policy, the agent should complete the application and review the information with the customer prior to obtaining the customer's signature, then send the application off to the insurance company.